Welcome back to America Decides. The Supreme Court seems likely to uphold a law that would ban TikTok in just 9 days. The justices appear to agree that the app's links to China are a national security threat. The bipartisan law gave TikTok's China-based parent company 9 months to sell it or face a potential ban. That is set to take effect 1 day before President-elect Trump's inauguration. We are joined now by CBS News chief legal correspondent Jan Crawford. And Jan, you were at the Supreme Court today. I mean, what did you make of today's proceedings?
Well, I mean, it was pretty extraordinary. 2.5 hours. That's the long argument for the justices, very engaged. But I agree. I mean, I think the clock is ticking for TikTok. The justice is clearly concerned and sensitive to these national security concerns that you mentioned, which is what drove Congress to pass this law, that TikTok's parent company, which is based in Beijing, is gathering data on 170 million American users that China could get access to, one of our adversaries. And also, they're concerned that China could manipulate the kind of information that Americans see, and Americans wouldn't even know about it. So the justices were, I think, troubled by those concerns. Now, TikTok, of course, presented a pretty robust argument that there are First Amendment issues here, and a lawyer for the influencers, and of course, people make millions of dollars on this platform, influencers. They argue that they have free speech rights to be able to use whatever social media sites that they choose, and that the law violates the First Amendment. But I think that was a pretty hard row for these justices to kind of follow. And I think, we'll see. But like I said, I agree with you. It wasn't looking that great for TikTok.
Yeah, well, let's take a quick listen to Chief Justice John Roberts, who had this to say.
Are we supposed to ignore the fact that the ultimate parent is, in fact, subject to doing intelligence work for the Chinese government?
Now, obviously, he sounds pretty skeptical there, but...
Yeah, that was right at the beginning of the argument, too. I mean, like one of the first questions, he went right at it, framing this as a real national security concern. And later in the argument, the Chief Justice said, Congress in this law, which, of course, President Biden signed, bipartisan support, isn't saying TikTok has to stop. It's just saying that the Chinese government has to stop controlling TikTok. In other words, find a U.S. buyer, and, Congress doesn't care what people post on TikTok, what cat videos they watch. Yeah, but is that possible
in the next 9 days?
That's what I think may be the exit strategy, that right there. There's a provision in the law that you can get a 90-day extension. So I see, and the president could grant it, I see a possibility that the court could enter a brief pause that would give TikTok a little more time to find a U.S. buyer. So it wouldn't go dark next Sunday, and it will give them a little more time.
And we know, obviously, the president-elect has asked the court to block this ban. Is there anything potentially that he could do once he takes office to reverse this law if it's upheld?
I don't know that he could reverse it. I mean, I guess he could always try to say, I'm not going to enforce it. I don't think so. I think the more likely scenario, though, is that he would kind of trigger that 90-day extension that's written into the law already. It gives the president that authority if he thinks there may be something in the works. And we've already seen Trump, who, opposed TikTok initially, but now he says he likes it, say, he wants a little more time, too, because maybe he can make a deal.
Yeah, and I was going to say, give us a sense of the timetable here. I mean, if we do see some type of pause to give TikTok a little bit more time, if you will. I mean, ultimately, when do you think
that won't
the court?
Take long. Yeah, that would
when
be
do you
quick.
think the court could rule?
Soon. I mean, probably not today or this weekend, but I would expect something soon. In the coming days. Certainly before the end of the week, next week.
All right. Well, certainly a case that a lot of people are watching.
170 million users. Yeah.
No pressure
No.
for the High Court. Well, thank you so much, Jan Crawford, for joining us. We really appreciate it.